Good morning. Good morning. How are you all? Yeah, you're early. You are early. Look at all the nice friends here. How are you all doing today? Good morning, Gabriel. Cybersuck, what time is it for you today? Have you noticed that the number of times people ask for my pronouns on this show has been dropping? I think that's a good sign. Several months ago I took a survey of my audience then. It would be different than my audience now. And this is what you all said. So these are my pronouns in roughly this proportion. Hopefully that answers the question. Garden fairy is the correct answer. It's always been the correct answer. Yes, Andrea. How are you doing this morning? Excuse me. Water went down the wrong way. Addicted to vanity. I might be addicted to vanity, it's true. Good morning. Good morning. My dumpster jumping ability. Should make some more films about that. Yes. Yes, I'm in the process of transitioning. I will always be in the process of transitioning. I'm becoming a human being. Good morning from Virginia. Good morning. What is my opinion on Christianity? I believe it is an important religion. Is this my natural voice or is it deeper? Well, what do you mean by natural? This is my voice. This is also my voice. This is my voice. I have many voices. Which one is natural and which one is not natural? Will you tell me? I didn't make this shawl. It was a gift from a friend of mine. I'm glad you like my dumpster videos. You're liking the vibe. Well, me too. Good morning from Louisiana. Good morning. Good morning. So we can begin with the Book of Deuteronomy. I'm into both. Though that's not necessarily the most polite way to ask that question. We'll begin in the Book of Deuteronomy with a prayer called Shema. And Shema means listen in Hebrew. So that's what we'll do. We'll listen together to these words and see if they can have any purpose for being in our lives on this morning. Any influence. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Your question wasn't necessarily rude, but rather it showed evidence of a culture of entitlement on TikTok, where the fact that I am here on this public venue means that people feel entitled to know things about my sexual practices. And I understand that that's actually fairly commonplace, and it's not that that's private information. It's a fine question to ask, but there are more polite ways that you could have asked it, right? I look a little tired today. I got 6 hours of sleep last night, and I got like 4 hours of sleep the night before. So yeah, I guess I'm a little tired. But like I feel quite good. Like I feel energetic. Maybe you're just tired. I mean, we might both be tired. It's true. But I don't feel I don't feel fatigued in performing. I actually feel quite energized in doing this. What is your sexuality would have been more polite? Yes, that would have been more polite. Although, maybe it would have been less likely that I would answer it. Do I know anything about dreams? Yes. I have been recording my dreams whenever I remember them since I was 18 years old. So I have an archive in this little box here of every single dream that I've ever had in my adult life. There's a channel on our Discord server called #dreams, where people post their dreams, and that's been really interesting, and I'd love to expand that. It's hard to know actually how to have the conversation there productively. But it's been very interesting to read y'all's dreams, and I would love for you to join the Discord server and talk about dreams over there. It's something I think a great deal about. A very great deal. Sexuality. So I'm poly. I don't know if that's an orientation or I don't know what it is. All these identity politics words. I have 2 partners. Both of them are female-bodied. Some more cis than others. I don't know. I also have boyfriends, more distantly, who I don't live with. I don't really know. I'm fairly private about that part of my life. Like I don't run a poly TikTok channel. But sometimes my partners hang out with me at breakfast time on Discord. I don't know. I did not make this outfit. You record your dreams too. You get scared sometimes. Do I have scary ones or peaceful ones? I have all sorts of dreams. Coffee in a mason jar is the way to be. It's the only way to drink it. I don't know. I just wanted a lot of chaga this morning. Yeah, I mean the dreams, like they're windows. They ask you to contemplate the world as if this reality were true. They ask you to experience the world that way. And sometimes those experiences can be scary, and I think there's quite a lot to learn from those experiences, right? Like, their dreams are part of ourselves trying to talk to another part of ourselves. Start recording your dreams. I think it's a very valuable practice. Well, I'm getting distracted. I wanted to talk to you all today a little bit, I suppose. But we should we should repeat our words. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Listen, Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Asherah Echad, are one. Listen, all is one. Listen, the serpent eats its tail. Listen, you are more than you think you are. You are connected to that large, infinite wholeness, which is everything else. Yeah, we do pick up local compost often. Turn waste into living food, right? That's what this symbol means. This symbol means many things, right? One thing that it means is, yes, we turn waste into living food. We do that all the time. I ate mushrooms from spent substrate yesterday that we picked up from a local farm, and we're going to use it to mulch our fields. ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. And you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I am imparting to you today through this screen into your mind and body, these words, teach them to your children, and recite them when you wake up, and when you go to bed, and when you are traveling, and when you are at home. And you should bind them as a symbol on your hand, and let them serve as a sign on your forehead. And you shall mark them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Repeat me. The prayer says, repeat me. That's what we're chanting. That's what we're saying. We're saying words that ask to be said. What happened to my nose? You can see a mark. Am I okay? I'm playing with makeup. And clearly I'm not playing legibly enough for you. But, you know, there's actually a great many marks on my face. There's some red marks on my lips. There's some black marks on my eyes. This mark is a little bit unusual, so it doesn't read as makeup. But, I think it makes my face look pretty. So I put it there. You can play. Following fashion trends. וחיה כי ויחיה אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילאת ובורות הטובים אשר לא עשת כערים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. When Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into land that he swore to your fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to assign to you, great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of all good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Take heed that you do not forget Sky Dad, Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Sky Dad threatens that if you don't remember him, he will return you to the house of bondage if you don't remember what he did for us. And what did he do for us? Well, he enabled the conquest of territory. That's the story. Thanks, Sky Dad, for enabling us to occupy the land of Israel. It's pretty great, and we'll remember that when we live in houses that we did not build, in cities that we did not build, we eat from vineyards and olive groves that we did not plant, we drink from cisterns that we did not hew. We'll remember that. What an interesting message. Right? Like, I have to puzzle over why this message is in this book at this time, right? The first words, the Shema words, I received those when I was very young, too young to actually understand them. Right? And I didn't actually hear the words that came next, the words about colonialism, the words about acknowledging land theft, right? It's a land acknowledgement, right? It's the modern version of a land acknowledgement. I live on Oneida territory. It's the ancient version of a land acknowledgement, rather. Modern version is for me to say, hey, I live on Oneida territory. Where do you all live? Whose land are you occupying? Do you know? What was their name? Whose land are you living on now? Who was it stolen from? All of you could answer that question. It wouldn't take much research, even. But I wonder how many of you know. Right? Who occupied the land you were in before it was stolen? When was the last time the land you were occupying was stolen? Everywhere in the world was stolen. Why am I living on stolen land? Well, personally, why am I living on stolen land? Because my grandmother's house was stolen, and so she became a refugee, and so she came here. And she was able to come here because there's a government here who created a policy that allowed her to come. And that's the same government that created a policy a few hundred years before of stealing that same land from the people who lived there. So why am I here? It's hard to say. Hard to say. But I'm here. Your land is stolen by the Turks. Do you live in Kurdistan? At what time do you believe it's no longer stolen, but new life has claimed the land? I think the land has always been stolen. And what that means depends on current context. England is stolen land, right? It was occupied in 1066 by William the Conqueror. Do I think that his conquest was unjust? Is there justice that needs to be done? I don't think so. But, there are places, Northern Ireland, for example, where there is still occupation that is contestable. So it really just depends on where in the world you're talking about, right? We can acknowledge that there's land theft everywhere in the world throughout history, and some of that land theft matters today more than others. And that's part of being a human in the world and understanding our place within it. The British stole Australian Aboriginal land, yes. Stolen land, where did they take it? They occupied it. They occupied it. Palestine is stolen by the Zionists, yes. Right, we all live on stolen land. Thanks, Sky Dad. Hey, thanks. What's the difference between land won and land stolen? That is an excellent question. Who is writing the history book? That's the difference. That's the only difference. Who is writing the history book? Who stole your land? It's a good question. Who stole my land? Who stole the land that you live on? The Americans stole the land that I live on. The British. Okay. That's enough on that theme. I think we've made our point. I think we can move on. Did I say thanks, Sky Dad? Yeah, let me say another prayer to Sky Dad. Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, shelu ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh Eloheinu. Thanks, Yahweh. Thanks, Sky Dad, for not making me a woman. I had to do that. What a great opportunity. What a lovely opportunity. Thanks, Sky Dad. Baruch atah asher anat melecha ha'olam asher yitzaret ha'adam b'chachama uvara ve'om. I repeat the name of Asherah Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. Who is Skydad? Can I explain who Skydad is? Who is Skydad? Who is Asherah? So, let me show you a picture. Okay, so this is an artifact found in Kunlet Arjud on the Sinai Peninsula. And the inscription here reads, Yahweh and his Asherah. And here we have Yahweh, here we have Asherah. This might be El. This might be some other version of the goddess, a much more animal version. Right, so this is a historical document that shows one understanding of God dated to about 3,000 years ago. And this character, Yahweh, is who I am labeling as Skydad. Maybe that's fair of me, maybe that is not, right? There are ways that we can get to know and understand the deities that came before, right? Who can understand the conceptions of, and therefore understand the conceptions of reality that came before, right? This character, Yahweh, evolved into Adonai, the Jewish God of today, also evolved into God of Jesus and Allah, and like this image here tells us something about the way the world perceives of God today, right? And therefore it informs me on how I might choose to perceive God, right? Skydad is a character, and I don't make the mistake of thinking that Skydad is the totality of everything, right? Skydad is just as much real as Asherah is real, right? This is a goddess. She has large breasts, right? Like, these are properties that I can tell you about her. Asherah was a goddess of trees. People would worship her by bringing little olive cakes and placing them at the base of old trees, old gnarled olive trees, right? Asherah was the goddess of the tree of life. And how we choose to think about her today depends on our purposes. So, Yahweh, Allah, Jesus, all Skydads? Well, no. I wouldn't actually say that. Like, Zeus is a Skydad. Baal is a Skydad. Like, we're talking about, like, an ancient conception of God, which is, like, a patriarchal figure in the sky who brings clouds, right? Baal was a god of rain and thunder, just like Zeus. Like, I think in many ways the concept of Allah is not the concept of Skydad, right? Allah is much bigger and more total in its encompassing of the world, right? But like, I want to think about Skydad because I think Skydad is still around, and I think he's still causing violence. I think he's still causing oppression, right? So when I see things in my religion that I do not like, I can attribute them to Skydad, right? Because I don't want to attribute them to the totality of everything, right? Skydad is jealous, and he threatens to kill Moses, and then Moses circumcises his son. Baal is not a god, he's a fallen angel. Depends on what story you're looking at, from what perspective, right? Right, from an anthropological perspective, Baal was a god. From a Christian perspective, Baal may be a stolen angel, a fallen angel. Hard to say. Anyway, hopefully that answers the question of who Skydad is. Like, it's a tongue-in-cheek comment, but like, I'm praying to a patriarchal divinity that gives me discomfort to pray to, and yet I pray to him every day, right? Thanks, Yahweh, for not making me a woman. Like, how can I say that in seriousness? Like, I have to be able to say it in seriousness, and so I do. I say it honestly, like, thank you for giving me this opportunity to become the person that I am. And in so doing, recognizing the forces of patriarchy, the forces of Skydad, that continue to structure the world and structure who I am and oppress people. That needs to be acknowledged. Okay. I think I've said enough on that. I came upon a wedding that old families had contrived, with Bethlehem the bridegroom and Babylon the bride. Oh, great Babylon was trembling, and she stood there naked with me. And Bethlehem inflamed us both like the shy one at some orgy. And when we fell together, all our flesh was like a veil that we had to draw aside to see the serpent eat its tail. Oh. Some women wait for Jesus, and some we wait for Cain. So I'll hang upon my altar, and I'll hoist my axe again, and I'll take the one who finds me back to where it all began, back when Jesus was the honeymoon, and Cain was just a man, and we'll read from pleasant Bibles that are bound in blood and skin, that Asherah is gathering all her children back again. No, I didn't write that song. That's a song by Leonard Cohen. And those lyrics are about the Babylonian genocide, right? This very seminal time in the history of the Jewish people. Not the first genocide, not the first occupation, but the one that left the largest historical mark in memory. And in the song, that genocide is metaphoricalized as a marriage, which I think is very important to think about. Like, oh, this occupation, it's not just destruction, it's not just injustice, right? It's also self-creating. It's also self-creating. So thanks, Skydad, for this trauma that makes us who we are. Because without it, we would not be. And so it goes. So it goes. What do I think about the Temple Mount as being a place of worship for Jews and Muslims? Well, I wish it could be. I wish that access to that space was not so fraught. Maybe one day it won't be so fraught. I've been to that place. It terrifies me, that place. The amount of pent-up energy and segregation. The amount of segregation in that space is profound. And it's heartbreaking. I wish it were different. And it's a very important place. Is this like Greek mythology? Yes. Have I read about near-death experiences? Sure, yeah. I have read about them. So, now we can shift gears a little bit. I'm glad that you like my voice. It took a lot of practice. Yes, I am, but I don't like to flout it. Kajananam Buddhaganati Sevitam Kapita Jambupala Sarabakshitam Umasitam Sakavinasakarnam Mahamatim Nivyamayuravahanam Ridasyasinam Sarasananatam Guham Saranam Saranam Prapadye Yaku Hendutu Sarahadavala Yasupravasvarita Yavinavarandamanditakara Yasvita Padmasana Yabramachuta Sankara Patrapi Devasada Pujita Samampatu Saraswati Bhagavati Sajadhyapa Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nisparanchaya Santaya Shri Shivanandaya Te Namaha Shri Vishnudevanandaya Te Namaha Om Sarva Mangla Manglaye Shive Savarta Sadike Saranye Triambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Om What language am I singing? Who knows what language that was in? Who knows? I know some of you know. That was from the Shivananda yoga tradition. It's a branch of ashrams. Neither Hebrew nor Greek. It's Sanskrit. Hi, Taylor. My morning's going great. Yes, the language is in Sanskrit. That's a prayer that I learned when I was taking pranayama classes at the Shivananda Yoga Center. And I think it's quite pretty. Now, we will do the Mahari Yunjaya mantra. Good morning, Karen. Nice to see you. Triambakam Yunjaya Sugandhim Pushya Vardhanam Orvaru Kami Bhavandanan Mrityur Mukshiyam Amritatom Triambakam Yunjaya Sugandhim Pushya Vardhanam Orvaru Kami Bhavandanan Mrityur Mukshiyam Amritatom Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu Makashid Dukhabhag Bhave Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityur Mamritam Gamaya Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Peace Peace Peace. Om. That outer world is full. This inner world also full. From fullness comes fullness. Taking full from full, fullness remains, like a serpent which consumes its own tail. Om. Peace Peace Peace. Quick take on the Gospel. The Gospel according to Luke, Mark, John. They're important books. One day I'll read them. So, I have a couple of more prayers for you today, and then we're gonna have breakfast on my Discord server. I noticed that someone new just joined. Hey Sage, how are you doing? Glad you're here. Why did the serpent consume its tail? Well, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for certain properties of the world that I think we would do well to pay attention to. For me, it's a metaphor for dumpster diving. It's a metaphor for consciousness, right? Like, my mind contains my body, but my body contains my mind. It's a metaphor for unification of opposites, right? The inside and outside are one. Then what else might be one? Maybe male and female could be one. Maybe good and evil could be one. Maybe above and below are the same. So, RT is next. No, RT is not next. Next, we're going to do a prayer by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. Sandy, I have not had breakfast yet. I'm going to have breakfast over on our community Discord server in a little bit. There's a few more prayers, and then we'll have breakfast over there. Maybe we'll talk about the Tree of Life. I was expecting folks to ask me questions about the Tree of Life today. I was surprised that I didn't get any, so I posted that video. But I guess not many of you have seen that one yet. Not trying to use anything. I don't want to pray. Yep. That's what we're going to do. Who is it that I'm praying to? Well, this tree, actually. Right? Like, one way of putting it. The video that I posted today is basically a prayer to this tree, right? To this Tree of Life. But prayer to, like, it's not as if I'm praying, oh, Tree of Life, give me some fruit, right? Like, it's not about give me. It's about understanding who I am, right? The prayer to the Tree of Life is an attempt, right? A call to remind myself of what I truly am, which is part of the great tree of all living things, right? But yes, you can think of this prayer as a prayer to the Tree of Life, or for the Tree of Life. A prayer to remind us that that is what we are. I don't want to pray to my maker, no. I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink in golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins, and I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer, and I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat made bad. Elohim made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah, God made, God made, God made, but I don't want to pray to my maker. I just want to be what I see. Not like in a book, or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. Hashem, no. Harden God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat made bad. Elohim made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah, God made, God made, God made me. Wow, that song feels a lot different from myself now. In what way? In what way has the song changed for you? I'd love to know. You're beautiful too, Lily. You're beautiful too. Is this meditation? Yes, this is meditation. It's meditation on the tree of life. Right here. What do I think about the current state of for-profit firefighting in the western U.S.? No idea. I have no thoughts on that whatsoever. I'm sorry. I wish I were more educated than I am. When it first came out, it was just getting out of religion, and now you're more spiritual. It is the reason why you stop on my live everything I see you. That's great. I'm sorry, I didn't quite read that well. They always say unmute. Moderating is hard. Y'all are pros. Y'all are really pros. Alright. So we're gonna say RT now. And the word RT means flame. Here's our little flame. Our little morning flame. Prayer flame. We're gonna say RT. And then we're gonna say Kaddish. And then we're gonna move on to Discord, and we're gonna have breakfast together. And it's gonna be really nice. You grew up Catholic, it's been quite the journey. I scare you with the flame every time. It's really not that, it's a little vial, right? It's a little vial, and there's oil at the base, and there's a wick, and there's a little metal top. It's not hot, it's just like holding a lighter, right? Actually, there is very little difference between this and this, right? It's very similar. This has a bigger flame. I get so close to it. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do RT now. You're just a worrier. Well, thank you for worrying, I suppose. I do appreciate your concern. I do. Arati means flame. The first verse of the Arati is to Ganesh. Here's Ganesh, the elephant-headed god. Here's Ganesh again, the elephant-headed god. Let's put Ganesh right here. God with the elephant head, overcoming obstacles. What a story. What a story. So, as I'm repeating these various names of God, if you like them, please tap on your screen. I have to ask you that. I'm sorry, but I do have to ask you. But I like it. I like it when you tap on your screen. I'm messing with my phone in not a good way. You have something to talk to me later about. Good stuff. Well, let's talk later. One of the most made-up gods ever. Elephants were a thing when Earth and the universe was created. The most made-up gods ever. You think Ganesh is more made up than Yahweh? What do you mean by that? I guess, like, more fantastical? Like, it's harder to believe that Ganesh could have existed than that Yahweh could have existed, but I think they both exist in basically the same realm, just the realm of the human mind, right? They both are concepts. And we can say prayers and we can invoke their concepts, right? And Ganesh means something very different than Yahweh. I say Yahweh more than I say Ganesh because I think the ideas that are associated with Yahweh are more important for me to think about, given my personality and my history. But they're just as real in that they're just as fake, right? They're all just stories. What do we want to do with these stories, right? How do we want these stories to live in our lives? That's the question. I think all gods are made up, and some are more childish and less put together than others. Well, that's for sure. Some are more realistic, some are more empathizable, right? They have many different characters, and we can learn to think about some of these characters, think with them, and try to understand how those characters make us and make the world that we live in. One is real. Just one. There's only one. And if we insist that there's only one God, then we get drawn into all sorts of paradoxes about the nature of this God. Because if there's only one God and there's genocide in the world, then this is a God of genocide, right? And if there's only one God and there's patriarchy in the world, then God must be a God of patriarchy. If there's only one God, then God can have no properties because it would need to have all the properties, right? No gender, no race, no religion, no up, no down. Monotheism is the most fragile belief system, and yet it's also incredibly robust, right? Like, we can imagine the one God, the total one God of all. And if we're being intellectually honest with ourselves, in imagining that, we must imagine it as infinitely small and infinitely large at the same time, and good and evil at the same time, and fire and water at the same time. It must be all things at the same time, and therefore it's hard to think productively about. So we can partition God to smaller characters and think a little bit more productively around them. This is the first live of mine you've stuck around for, and you're loving the conversation. I'm glad. I'm glad you're loving the conversation. Religion is real. As for individual gods, there's no proof, and it's not worth discussing the quantity. There's definitely more than one God. You were here a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty great, even for an atheist. So I want to talk to atheists. I want to talk to atheists and Orthodox Jews at the same time. So, what we're going to do right now with Arati is we're going to say a bunch of different names of God. So you can tell me, oh, there's only one. But this thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say many names, right? So you can't tell me that there's only one name for God, because that's patently false, right? There are many names for God. And I'm going to say some of the names, and each of the name has stories behind it, and some of those stories are more compelling than others. Some of them are more worth remembering than others, but we're going to say these names because this is the tradition that I learned. And in saying all of these diverse names, maybe we will come to understand what lies underneath them all. Right? What lies underneath all of the names? What's there? I wonder. Jaya Jayarati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayarati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayarati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidurana Vanita Chora Jaya Jayarati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankatarana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jayarati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jayarati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jayarati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jayarati Datachaya Datachaya Trimutriyavatara Jaya Jayarati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gurave Jaya Jayarati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jayarati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jayarati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jayarati Ayappa Swamine Ayappa Swamine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jayarati Jesus Gurave Moses Gurave Buddha Gurave Jaya Jayarati Muhammad Gurave Guru Nanak Gurave Samastya Guru Bho Namaha Jaya Jayarati Avenue Gopala Natatra Suyobati Natandra Karatam Nima Vidyobati Kutoya Magni Dwameva Bantam Bandi Sarvam Tasya Basya Samridam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Sirikaveriya Can't hit that note. Namastitam Namo Namaha. Neither the sun shines there, nor the moon, the stars, nor lightning. So from where does its light come? When it shines, all shines after that. By its light, all else is lit. This prayer is from the Shivananda tradition that I've studied at for many years. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva Tvameva bandishasaka tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Kayena vacha manasendriyarva Buddhyatmanava prakrite sabhavat Karomi adyad mangalam parasmahi Narayana hiti sarmarpayami Sarvadharmam pravichayam amikam savarnam vrija Amsva sarvapapayo mokshayami masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these I dedicate to you, to all of you. Thank you all for being here with me today. I have one more prayer for you all, and then we will shift onto Discord, and we'll have breakfast together, and I hope that you will join me. So this prayer is called Kaddish, which is a very old word, right? We can follow the phylogenetic history back from this word, from the Hebrew word kadosh, or my last name, Kaddish, to a city on the Syrian coast 3,500 years ago, or to a goddess named Kaddish, who you can see here riding a lion, holding snakes, not unlike Lakshmi, who we were talking about earlier. It's a prayer about death. It has been for a long time. And we can say this prayer for all of those people who died yesterday of coronavirus. We can say it for all of those preachers. Every single one of these. Look at this image. Look at this image. This is the tree of life. Right? This is today's image. Here's another one. It's another tree of life. This is a representation of every living thing that has ever existed. And every single one of these things suffered. Every single one of them. Right? Every single one of them is subject to death. So, we're going to say a prayer about death. And the word means holy. And what's customary at this point in the stream is, if there is someone that you think we should be holding in our minds as we say Kaddish, right? If there is someone we should be saying Kaddish for, please put their name in the chat, or some words that are meaningful to you, and we'll say Kaddish for them. These words, which for the last 3,500 years have been used by my ancestors to help respond to death. Yidgadal v'yidgadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrachyote v'yamlich malchote, b'chayachon v'yamechon v'chay dekol beit Yisrael, b'gala u'bizman karif v'imru, amen. Yehi shemei rabbah miva'arach le'alam omei omaya, yidbrach v'yishtabach v'yidba'ar v'yirmam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei de kudishah b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tishbechata v'nechemata, Diamiran Bilma Bimru. Amen. Yesh Lama Rabba Amin Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'yachol Yisrael Bimru. Amen. O say Shalom Bimramav. Huya Aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'yachol Yisrael Bimru. Amen. O say Shalom Bimramav. Huya Aseh Shalom Aleinu V'yachol Yisrael V'imru, v'imru, amen. Thank you all. That concludes our morning stream. So,